Bread gets something of a bad rap these days. Dr. Mary McCreary, registered dietitian, is ambassador for National Bread Week, a campaign to try and persuade people to eat more of the stuff. You're going to find it hard to persuade me, Mary, because since I almost entirely cut out bread, my digestion feels an awful lot better, and I don't think I carry as much weight as I used to. I'm putting it down to cutting out the bread.
I don't know what to say to that.
Lots of people say the same, that the white bread, the batch loaf that you get, it's like the consistency of rubber and about as much good for you in eating it as well.
Well, I don't agree with that point in actual fact. National Bread Week, it's not to convince you to eat more of it, it's trying to dispel all the myths that there actually are about bread. People have this idea, like yourself, that somehow that what you're getting in your batch loaf or what you're buying in your slice pan, that there's no goodness in it at all. And that's completely incorrect information.
Why, is it not just cheap, mass-produced food?
It is cheap, which is fantastic. It is mass-produced, which is no harm in that. But that doesn't make it bad. And, you know, all bread is made from basically flour and water and a raising agent. And the flour is the same sort of flour that goes into whether you're home baking your bread or you're going to your artisan bakers or you're using the slice pan. And all flour is a nutritious ingredient that's in food. So just because it's mass-produced and it's economic, which is fantastic for certain elements of the population, it doesn't in any way make it bad for you.
What about all the carbs?
We're meant to eat carbohydrate. I mean, despite this belief that there is out there from unqualified and unprofessional people putting it out there that you're not supposed to have carbs, there's absolutely no doubt, scientifically wise, worldwide, we're meant to have a high carbohydrate diet. Our bodies cannot really survive without it.
A listener says, David says, bread is healthy. It's the stuff people put on it that's unhealthy. Butter, cheese, processed meats and salad dressings. That's what's unhealthy.
Well, it depends what you mean by unhealthy. Are we talking about weight? Are we talking about cholesterol? Are we talking about preventing diet-related illnesses? I mean, we're very much in exclusive living here, and it's what we call the worried well, where people are worrying about their diet when really they don't have any need to be worrying about their diet. As a dietitian, and in our profession, what we deal with is people who have medical problems that can be treated by diet. But for a huge amount of the population, they don't have any diet-related problems. So we're very, very lucky that we have the actual luxury of worrying about what we're eating and what we're not eating. But what's to make people think that they're unhealthy? And that's the bit that I just can't understand, is why do people actually think they're unhealthy?
Well, if you eat something and it doesn't make you feel well, you cut it out of your diet and you feel better. Is that not a good guide?
Well, that's fine, but that doesn't necessarily make the food bad. It just might not make you feel very well, but that doesn't actually make it bad. And if you look at the science, and I can only go by the science, I can't give you my personal opinion, I can only give a professional opinion, which has to be scientifically based, that there is absolutely no evidence whatsoever that bread will do you any harm whatsoever.
Gerard Lynch is with us, the owner of the Old Post Inn, but he also is involved in My Gluten-Free Kitchen, meals you miss made easy. Good evening to you, Gerard.
Good evening, Matt. How are you?
Now, where are you on bread?
Well, I mean, everything in moderation, Matt. I mean, I think as a nation, I think we love bread. I mean, I certainly loved bread before I was diagnosed with celiac. But I think everything in moderation. I mean, you know, if you get up in the morning, you have bread for toast, bread for lunch, and bread for dinner. Obviously, you know, it's an overglut and it's too much. And I think we all, I mean, growing up, I think you get that back to the batch loaf. I mean, we're one of the most famous companies in Cavan here that does the batch loaf, and it would have been all that's in our home. So, I mean, what you're seeing as a child, if you've been fed, you know, huge amounts of bread at breakfast, at lunch, I mean, as you grow up, you'll think, well, it is a balanced diet, which it wouldn't be.
Yeah, listener here says bread should only contain flour, salt and water. Looking at a typical cheap white supermarket loaf, there's about 15 ingredients listed.
Well, that's not actually true. I mean, what there is basically in your white slice loaf is your flour, your water, your raising agent and salt, which are all the basic ingredients for flour.
And what about preservatives?
In the preservatives, I mean, it's all very well if you're able to get up every day and bake your own bread or have the money to go to a bakery and buy fresh bread every day, but that doesn't suit everybody. Who says preservatives are wrong? Who actually said that they are wrong? What the preservatives actually are that are in bread are vitamin C, which is ascorbic acid, and emulsifier, and enzymes, which are all denatured during the cooking process, so they don't do the human body any harm whatsoever.
What do you say to that, Gerard?
Well, yeah, I think as a nation, I think we eat a lot of bread. I genuinely believe we eat a lot of bread, and I think it might be down to our lifestyle, as in, you know, we're all too busy. We have lifestyle, mortgages, business, you know, convenience, the convenience of, you know, grabbing a sliced toast in the morning, the convenience of grabbing a sandwich during the day. I mean, maybe the convenience of coming home and having to deal with 4 young children saying, right, let's just grab a quick bite to eat, let's grab another sandwich. You know what I mean? That happens in a lot of households. Now, the idea of food being cheap, you know, food should never be cheap. It's ridiculous. Like, you know, food is not cheap, and Irish food should not be made out to be cheap, you know. But I think we all have to just kind of take stance of our own situation and deal with ourselves as we go on and eat accordingly.
But,
you know?
Garo, could it be what's in the bread? Because another listener here says, I eat bread as long as it's whole grain. White bread is a high GI, which burns up too quickly in the body, thereby making you put on weight. Presumably we're looking to eat other things to fill you up.
Well, that's not true either, because both wholemeal bread and white bread have exactly the same GI. They're both high GI foods, and there's no evidence to say that high GI foods are going to make you put on weight. So that's scientifically incorrect. And I'd like to correct something that Garota said there. We're not big consumers of bread here in Ireland. The average consumption of white bread in Ireland is approximately around 1 slice a day, and the average consumption of wholemeal bread is about 1.5 slices per day. So you can't say that we're big consumers of bread, of any type of bread.
Well, I'm going by my own household, and as a child and as growing up in my own household, I mean, and that's from a family of 6 people, so I mean, I've been in a lot of households that bread would be consumed a lot, you know, but I mean, your stats, obviously, that's...
Maybe it's dying out. Maybe just people are moving to other things because they perceive it to be healthy, which is why we have this attempt by the bread industry to persuade us to eat more bread.
You're absolutely right. Well. Yeah, we are reducing our consumption of bread because that myth is there that it's bad for you. Even with the reduced consumption, bread is still the second highest contributor to the calcium intake of the Irish diet, and is also the second highest contributor to the iron intake of the Irish diet. So with the reduction in the consumption of bread, we also will see a reduction in the consumption of those nutrients, and that's what nutrition is all about. It's about nutrients. It's not about, you know, just putting on weight or losing weight.
You're not a nutritionist, so you're a dietitian.
I am both.
I'm a dietitian.
I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist.
Dr. Mary McCreary and Garrod Lynch, thank you both for joining us. We'll be back with 5 at 5 after this.